Today, I'm going to show you how you can get over your breakup in just 3 days. Depending on how well you follow these steps, it may take 3 weeks. Some people may take 3 months. Other people may take 3 years. But if you do the steps that I talk about today and you do them effectively, you can get that down to 3 days. Getting over a breakup is so, so important. A lot of times, breakups come and they hit you out of the blue. It's a surprise. Some breakups are mutual, or you guys both decide at the same time that it's just not a good fit. Others occur when you've made the decision. You've decided that enough is enough and you're just not going to take it anymore, and you know before your partner knows that you're about to break up. But recovering from a breakup, recovering from a broken relationship, and getting yourself back to where you need to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically is so important. That recovery process is very important. A lot of people out there, and you've probably talked to them, they don't believe in love. They don't date. They're not interested in romantic love. They don't even believe in love, period. And if you draw back or if you rewind back the clock, you're going to find someone who has tried to love, tried to make it work in a relationship, and when it didn't work, their recovery process failed them. And because the recovery process failed them, they chose that they're like, you know what, I'm just not going to put myself in that situation again. Because they don't feel confident in their recovery process, because they don't feel confident in their ability to manage a breakup or to recover from a breakup, they just choose not to explore love. They choose to not to explore a relationship. They just take themselves off the dating market because they're afraid of the repercussions, or they're afraid of what may happen if the relationship ends in a breakup. I believe that do this recovery that I'm going to help you with is an important step in learning how to find, nurture, and maintain the type of love that is going to last longer than a lifetime. If you are afraid of the breakup, then it makes you more timid about meeting new people and exploring relationships with new people. It's possible, if your breakup process, your breakup recovery process isn't where it needs to be, it's possible for you to act in such a manner where you put up boundaries all over your life and you protect yourself out of love, or you protect yourself out of romance, or you protect yourself out of a close, intimate relationship with another human being. And I believe that that close relationship that has intimacy, that relationship that you can have with another human being that is strong, that is powerful, I believe that's one of the greatest joys in life. You can talk to so many people of all different backgrounds and different income levels, and they'll tell you that there's nothing more valuable than that relationship that they have with the person that they love. So we're going to get into it today. I'm going to share with you the things that have worked for me over my lifespan. The things that I tell you today, they're my personal opinions based on the experiences that I've had. I'm not going to go into all my my qualifications and all that, but just know that the things that I share with you, you're not going to be able to find on ChatGPT. This is nothing that has been scripted, so um, there's all of this information that I provide to you is organic information that I have learned, and I hope that it helps you in your process. Okay, so first things first, the breakup happens. Whatever that situation is, let's say you're breaking up with someone and you've been notified that the person no longer wants to be with you. And for the sake of the information that I'm going to provide, I'm going to assume the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is you're completely blindsided by the fact that the person no longer wants to be with you. When they notify you or when they ghost you after a certain period of time, you're going to get the message that they no longer want to be with you. The first thing that is going to hit you is a surprise. You're going to feel a little bit off. You're going to feel a little bit insecure. You're going to feel less confident. You may feel hurt. and confused, when you're feeling all of those emotions, the first thing that you should do with those emotions is start analyzing the relationship that you had with that person and identify the things that you can do better and the things that you did well. The things that you did well, it's easy. Continue doing the things that you did well, but do them to a higher level in the next relationship. We'll talk about how you can plan that later. The things that you didn't do so well, no one is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And there's things in the relationship that you did not do well. Start identifying those things that you did not do well. You want to document them. Some people take notes on their phone. Sometimes you just take notes on your computer, put it in your journal, but in some way, do an analysis of your relationship, the things that you did well and the things that you didn't do so well. Those things are going to turn into goals that you're going to use to develop the additional skills that you need to be successful in relationships. The second thing to do, and that process could take a whole day. So the first day, just focus on identifying what you did well in the relationship and what you didn't do so well. If you have extra time in that first day, I'll also share with you this. Identify what the other person did well and then what the other person didn't do so well. Because those items are going to turn into things that you're going to look for and the qualities that you're going to look for when you get ready to date again. That's the first day. Do an analysis, feel those initial emotions. That first day, do your analysis. Your mind is going to be clear. A lot of times your emotions haven't started to spiral and you're still in that logical brain of what is happening and why is it happening. The second day, um, and don't go to the second stage. Don't go to the second day until you do that first day. The second day, this is where I want you to give room for yourself to grieve the relationship. The second day is all about grieving. You want, after a breakup, especially if it's a surprise, you want to give your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions, you want to give your mind on an opportunity to grieve their relationship. Now, you may be thinking, well, this person isn't worth much. I can't believe they ghosted me. I can't believe they broke up with me. They didn't see my value. You can go on and on and on about how bad the person is and how bad of a fit they were for you. But that does not mean you're allowed to skip this second step. You still need an opportunity to grieve. Give yourself an opportunity to grieve and get good at grieving that relationship. Um, when I'm grieving or when you're in the process of grieving, the emotions that you're going to feel are going to be very intense, especially if you had high hopes and high expectations for the relationship. As positive as you felt about the relationship and as enamored as you were with your partner, when the relationship breaks up, all of those emotions need to be processed. And in order to process those emotions, knowing that the relationship is not going to continue, that turns into grief that you need to process. You need to start working on. I've met people who did not grieve their past relationship, and when you speak to them and you interact with them, you can tell that their past relationship is still playing a very influential role in their life. Essentially, they're not able to move on to the next relationship and give it the attention and the time that it deserves. They're not able to offer the intimacy that their partner requires of them in their next relationship because they haven't properly grieved their last relationship. Do not forget about that grieving process. Now, what does it look like in that second day? I'll tell you what works for me, and you can find something that works for you. What works for me when I'm grieving is I like to put on the saddest, most sappy love songs ever. That's what I do. And I'll put on the most like the saddest, most heartbreaking dramas and romantic comedies. And I'll watch those movies and I'll listen to the music. And I'll just listen to it on repeat. I'll just pick the saddest songs. There's like R&B songs. There's country songs. There's blues songs. All different genres of music have their sad, sappy love songs. And typically I start off with the like angry breakup songs that embody the emotion of the breakup. And then eventually I start listening to the songs that are related to um, losing a relationship or longing for love. And then third, when I'm thinking about the girl that is no longer in my life, and I'm getting ready to like process all this grief, I start listening to like the at the end of the stage, I start listening to like the hopeful love songs, the ones with like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and the ones where women are singing about what how good love could be. And from that, like the angry love songs, like I Will Survive, and all these other songs, and then like transitioning to the sad love songs, and then eventually coming out on the other side and starting to listen to the songs that are sung by artists who believe in love and are they're singing about the greatness of love. That's my grieving process. That's how it helps me. That's what helps me process those. That's what helps me process those emotions. If you're a woman, you may find something that is, I know I'm speaking from a man's perspective, but as a woman, you may find something that works well for you. Do whatever works well for you when you're grieving the relationship. Now, I said before, you may not think very highly of the person that has just rejected you, and that's fair. And so, because you don't think very highly of them, you may think, I really don't need to grieve them. I don't really need to grieve this relationship. I'll just move on to the next. Even if the person that has just rejected you, you don't think very highly of them, still give yourself an opportunity to grieve the breakup, because really what you're going to be doing is you're grieving the possibility. You're grieving that feeling that you had when you first met the person, or the feeling that is inside your chest that wants to love other people. You're grieving that expectation being lost. You're grieving that expectation not being met. You're grieving that affection that you shared with this person. You're grieving that affection not resulting in fruit. Um, it is, even if the person is not really about the person anymore, really it's about processing your emotions and processing the love that you have inside you, and allowing your heart to reset, so that you'll be open to loving in the future. You'll be open to recognizing love in the future. You'll be open to nurturing and maintaining love in the future. But if you never grieve that expectation that has been lost, you will carry that weight with you into the next relationship, where you've had expectations, those expectations were not fulfilled. Somebody made promises, or they implicitly made promises to you, and it got your heart hopeful, it got your heart excited, it got your heart in love. And when your heart gets broken, it's really not about that person when you're grieving. It's really about resetting and healing your heart. So the second day, it's all about grieving and processing your emotions. It's the most emotional day I typically have. The third day, once you get, don't go on to the third day without finishing the second day. And don't start the second day without going through the first day. I told you in the beginning of the video, you can do this in 3 days, you can do this in 3 weeks, you can do it in 3 months, but don't fast forward. Don't move on to the next day, or don't move on to the next stage if you haven't completed the grieving process. Once you complete that grieving process, an emotional grieving process, you'll know you're finished when your emotions feel hopeful. You'll know you're finished when your emotions feel light. You know you're finished grieving when you can look back on your relationship that you just had and that is broken, and you can see the good. That's when you know you're finished grieving. If you can't look back on your last relationship, or the relationship that you just broke up with, and if you can't see the good, if you can't see how that relationship has made you a better person, do not continue to grieve. Continue to grieve it. After you're finished grieving, and this is the third day, make sure that you create a plan to begin developing additional relationship skills. From the time you first learn how to ride a bike, or whatever you learn how to do, ride a skateboard, or whatever you learned how to do in your life, you know that The first time you do something, you're likely going to fail. The second time you may fail. The third time you may fail. But eventually, as you fail, you're going to learn from your mistakes, and eventually, you're going to learn how to ride that bike. Same thing with driving a car, but hopefully, you're not crashing six, seven, however many times. But if you do something long enough and you learn from your mistakes, eventually, you're going to get it right. Love is the same way. So when you experience love or you feel like you have love for someone, that's enough. Once that love gets hurt or once that heart gets broken or once your relationship breaks up, that's a failure. But you can learn from your mistakes. And when you learn from your mistakes, eventually you're going to get good at it. Eventually you're going to develop the skills that you need in order to find, nurture, and maintain the type of love that is going to last longer than a lifetime. So don't waste this opportunity. Don't waste this breakup by not using it to improve your skills. So, in the first day, you've identified what you did well and what you didn't do so well. In the first day, you also identified what the other person did well and what they didn't do so well. Make a list of the things that they did well and the things that you did well. And then start working on the skills that you need to continue doing the things that you did well, and then to master the skills that they did well. So essentially, what you're doing is you're taking your relationship and you're turning it into a class, a curriculum, and from that curriculum, you're going to you're going to develop the skills that you need in order to prepare yourself for the next relationship. This isn't just about building emotional intimacy and spiritual intimacy. It's also about building physical intimacy. Identify the things that they did that worked well, the things that you did that worked well, and then start creating a plan, a development plan. You can call it a relationship development plan to begin mastering those skills so that you can be a better person to date, a better person to live with, and a better person to fall in love with. The next thing to do is to take the things that they didn't do well. I know this sounds very simple, but a lot of people miss it. Take the things that you did well. Sorry, the things that you did not do well. So take the mistakes that they made and the mistakes that you made, and then analyze those mistakes so that you can start understanding what you could do to avoid those mistakes in the future. Sometimes it's just different decisions that you need to make. Sometimes it's a different way of interacting or a different way of speaking or a different way of communicating that you could do in order to avoid those mistakes. In other instances, you may have to actually develop additional communication skills. You may have to develop additional intimacy skills. Whatever it is that you need to do, identify the things that you need to do in order to avoid those relationship mistakes in the future. And also identify the things that you need to do to make sure that you don't make the mistakes that they made in the future. A lot of times in a relationship, there's two different people on two different sides of the relationship. And because you may not have made a mistake that your partner made, does not mean you have the skills to not make that mistake in the future. It just means that for some reason you didn't make that mistake today. And they were the first person to make that mistake. Just because your partner makes a mistake and you didn't make the mistake does not mean you can't learn from it. And then on the other side of the equation, after the breakup and you're trying to figure out what you can do next, the mistakes that you made, even though you made them because you're reacting to something your partner did, does not mean you can't learn from those mistakes. You can develop additional skills so that regardless of how bad or how great your partner acts, you are in control of your emotions, you're in control of the love that you have inside you, and you're able to demonstrate charity and love and affection and kindness and generosity. You're able to express all of those great character traits to your partner, regardless of how good or bad they are acting. That's the type of power and strength that I want you to have. And in order to do that, analyze the mistakes that you've made. Don't give yourself a pass just because you're reacting to something your partner did. But analyze those mistakes and learn what you can do in order to not make those mistakes in the future. How can you improve your ability to create an environment of intimacy where your partner feels safe, they feel comfortable being vulnerable, they feel comfortable being transparent, they feel comfortable telling you the truth, they feel comfortable loving you with all of their heart. Learn how to create an environment where your partner feels safe to love you. All right. If you do that, if you're able to create a plan, then the last thing to do on that third day is to start taking steps toward developing those skills. A lot of times in that third day, what it looks like is sometimes I'll go to the gym and I'll work out. And while I'm working out, I'm working through, okay, what do I need to do? Okay. In the last relationship, I got a little fluffy, I got a little fat, I got a little extra chunky. It's time for me to slim down. And so I'll go to the gym, and just by going to the gym and working out, it allows my mind to start working on the things that I need to do in order to become a better version of myself. And by working out and by doing the things that I need to do physically, I'm able to use that same energy to start developing the skills that I need emotionally, and the skills that I need spiritually, and the skills that I need in other areas of my life in order to become a better person for my next partner. If you do all of that in 3 days, you'll know at the end of 3 days if you're over your breakup and if you have been successful with these three stages. You'll know because you're able to see the good in in the last relationship. You don't. You also know that you're over your breakup because you don't feel the need to have any closure. When you're successfully over your last breakup, you'll also know that you're over it when you feel confident, more and more confident every single day. You make progress toward the things that you need to work on in order to become a better person. And then lastly, you'll know that you're over your last breakup when you feel gratitude for the entire experience, where there's just like this feeling of gratitude that permeates every memory that you've had with that person. When you go on to the next relationship, you're over that last relationship and you get ready to go into the next relationship, and somebody asks you, I'm not sure why I keep messing up that word, but when somebody asks you what happened in the last relationship, or how did your last relationship end, you can communicate that without um, any hurt. You can communicate that without any emotional negative emotional feelings. And when you're sitting across the table from someone, or you're on a date and they're asking you, or you remember something in your last relationship, you don't feel that strong feeling of displeasure in your heart anymore. And then the thoughts that you think about your last relationship, they're no longer centered around the mistakes that you made and the mistakes that your partner made. Now they're centered around the things that you are working on in order to become a better person. And so when you communicate your last relationship to whoever you're starting to date again, you can communicate it in such a way where you can say, you know what, it was an unfortunate relationship, or it was a disappointing time in my life, but I learned a lot. I learned this, and this. I learned how to be more honest. I learned how to be more transparent. I learned how to communicate better. I learned how to love harder. And when you can describe the things that you have learned from your last relationship to the new person that you're getting ready to date, that, my friend, that's how you can show someone that you're over your last relationship. And then when you can also describe to them the steps that you are taking to become a better person so that you're not making the same mistakes that you made in the last relationship in your current relationship, and they can see the parts of your life that have changed, and they can see the development that you're doing. Now you're not just telling them that you're over your last relationship. You're not just telling them that you've successfully recovered from your breakup. You're not just telling them that you're ready to find, nurture, and maintain the type of love that is going to last longer than a lifetime. Now you are showing them. You're showing them in the new habits that you've had. You're showing them in the way that you talk to them. You talk a little bit differently than you talked in your last relationship. You talk it, you show them by the way you treat them much differently and much better than your last relationship. And the process is complete. Now you're in a new relationship. Now you're dating somebody new. Now you're exploring intimacy on a much richer level. Now you're on your way to finding and nurturing, maintaining the love that is going to last longer than a lifetime. And you're over it. This process that I just described, like I said before, you can do it in 3 days if you're really good. You can also do it in 3 weeks, and you can also do it in 3 months. Some people will take 3 years. It just depends on your ability to go from step to step, stage to stage successfully. If you skip stages or you don't finish one stage and you move on to the next, this process can take forever and you may never finish it. I know there's people walking around right now that have had their heart broken 20, 30, 40 years ago. And because they had their heart broken and they never recovered from that breakup, they live their entire life without love, which is so sad. Now, since they never recovered from that first divorce or they never recovered from that first person that did them wrong, they're essentially sentencing themselves to a lifetime of feeling no love, no rich connection, no intimacy, no feeling that there's someone on this earth that doesn't want to live without me. There's someone on this earth that cares about my happiness, that cares about how I'm feeling, that cares about my emotions. There's someone here on this earth that would move heaven and earth in order to make me happy. They never get a chance to feel that intimacy. They never get a chance for their spirit to be seen. They never get a chance to let down their guard. They never get a chance to feel confident and comfortable and secure enough to take down those barriers and those boundaries that they've put around all the things that they love in their life. Just recover from a breakup. Learn how to recover. If you have very intense emotions toward the person that has just broken your heart, this process may take a little bit longer because it's harder for you to get over those intense emotions. That first step may take a long time. You may need coaching to fully analyze what went well and what didn't go so well. You may need a therapist to help you with the second step where you're trying to figure out how to get over and how to grieve the relationship appropriately so that you can start feeling positive emotions about love again. That last step where you're taking steps to develop the skills that you need to be successful, you may need to join a community because it's hard to make progress on the things that you need to work on if you have no one to hold you accountable and you have no one encouraging you, if you have no one inspiring you have no one motivating you to continue to work on something that the people at your job are not going to understand, the people at your church are not going to understand, the people where you hang out, those people are not going to understand that you're dealing with heartbreak. And you have to work on additional romantic love skills. You need to work on additional relationship skills in order for you to prepare yourself for the next relationship. But you can do it. Regardless of how hard it is, how difficult it is, you've survived worse. You've done harder things. You can do it. This process seems simple, but deep down inside, I know it is difficult. And regardless of how difficult this situation is of recovering from a breakup, I know that you can do it. And when you do it, you may have to prove a lot of people who told you you couldn't do it wrong. You may have people circling the block, you may have people distracting you, you may have people doing all sorts of things to make sure that you don't recover from that last breakup because they want to reserve that place in your life. They want to live their life feeling like, you know what, I still got it. I still have someone who was dependent upon me. I still have someone who is broken that I can be codependent on. You may still have someone blowing your phone up or blowing whatever it is up. You may have someone that is still trying to keep their hooks in you so that you never move on to the next person because something inside them is broken. Something inside them is hurting. I encourage you to go through this process and recover from that breakup so that you can go out and you can find, nurture, and maintain the type of love that is going to last longer than a lifetime. Who knows? Like after you're finished with your recovery, you recover from your breakup, after you finish with this process, if you do decide to go back to someone that you used to date, you're going to be going back as a healed person. You're not going to be the same person that they used to date. So if they haven't been working on themselves, if they haven't been doing the same process that you've been doing, if they haven't been developing themselves, you're not going to be a good match. You're not going to entertain that foolishness. But if they do, and they have worked on themselves and they are a better version, and the relationship that you're getting ready to establish is much better than the relationship that you had before, if you're not following into the old patterns, who knows what could happen? You can get, you can fall in love, you can get married, you can do all that stuff. But the important process, the important thing that you need to do is to make sure that you recover from that breakup and that you learn the things that you need to learn so that you can be a better version of yourself. All right, that's my message for you today. I hope in the things that I've shared with you, you have the confidence and the tools to start the process of recovering from your breakup. And if you're really good, you can do it in just 3 days. Give yourself some grace. If you can't, you can do it in 3 weeks. And if you can't do it in 3 weeks, you may have to do it in 3 months. But follow this process, and eventually you're going to be able to find, nurture, and maintain the type of love that is going to last longer than a lifetime. This one breakup is not going to stop you. It's just a minor setback to a major comeback. All right, that's my message for you today. I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Thank you.